Never thought I'd find Chris Redfield wasting away in a shithole like this.
Who the hell are you?
Piers. Piers Nivans?
Never heard of you.
How about this? Heard of this?
Piers Nivans is one of the new characters that joins the main cast of heroes in the game Resident Evil 6. A former member of the Special Forces with a knack for sniper rifles, Piers joined the BSAA in 2010, and was being groomed by his commanding officer, Chris Redfield, to become a prominent member of the organization in the future. A role which Piers proved capable of filling after Captain Redfield went missing following a mission they'd been assigned in Edonia.
Damn it. 6 months of searching for you. And this is what I find.
The story of Piers Nivans as we know it begins with his family. Piers comes from a family of military men, starting all the way back with his great-grandfather. From a young age, Piers wanted to follow the legacy of his family, working hard to follow in his father's footsteps. This hard work culminating in him graduating at the top of his class from a prestigious military academy where he was highly regarded for his impeccable skills as a sniper. Following his graduation, Piers decided to join the Army's Special Forces Division, his dream to be in the military finally realized. But as he continuously performed military drills without seeing any real combat, he began to become disillusioned with his service. He yearned for a greater challenge, something to do with all his training. And in 2010, he would find a new calling. Impressed by Piers' skills with a sniper rifle, a man named Chris Redfield approached the young man with an offer, asking Piers if he'd like to become a part of the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, or BSAA for short. Piers accepted Chris's offer, and became part of the BSAA's Alpha Team, Chris's unit, where he quickly became impressed by his new captain's leadership. Chris would treat the soldiers under his command almost like a family, forging a close-knit bond where no one in the unit was seen as expendable. This attitude towards his unit fostered great respect among the members of Alpha Team towards their fearless leader, and Piers was no exception, holding Captain Redfield in the highest of regards.
Is he always this awesome?
After joining the BSAA, Piers accompanied Chris on several different missions around the globe, working with an old colleague of Chris's in Australia in 2010, as well as helping out with an outbreak at the Marhoa Academy in 2012. These missions seasoned the Green Agent, and allowed Chris to see more and more what this young soldier was capable of. Chris knew that he wouldn't be able to keep this life up forever, and with the impressive skills of Piers demonstrated in their missions together, he began to believe that Piers was capable of taking over in his stead were he to leave this life behind. These thoughts weighed heavily in Chris's mind, until December of 2012, when Chris's Alpha Team was called into Edonia. The BSAA had caught wind that bioweapons were being used by the Edonian Liberation Army in their war against the Edonian government. So several BSAA teams were sent in to put a stop to these bioterror attacks. Chris's team was sent into the nation as well, tasked with pushing into occupied ELA territory and taking out their base of operations, City Hall. This invasion forced the hands of the ELA, and they sent waves of a new type of BOW known as Juavo, as well as some bigger foes, to help deter the BSAA's advance into the region. But in the end, all of these efforts failed. The BSAA pushed through the city, meeting hundreds of foes and even a few new allies in their mission to reach City Hall. But when they got there, things weren't quite what they expected. City Hall was a ghost town, filled with dozens of people covered in an odd cocoon-like shell of some kind. Delving deeper into the mysterious location, they came across vials of something strewn on the ground, and a woman claiming to be an ELA hostage named Ada Wong. Chris decided to let this woman accompany them through the building, but when they got back to the lobby, they found that the cocoons there had hatched, and an overwhelming number of creatures had been released. Escaping through a door at the top of the stairs, Alpha Team continued their search of the building. Unfortunately, however, the woman they'd met wasn't the hostage that she claimed to be, and she led the members of Alpha Team into a trap, transforming the bulk of the team into BOWs.
Thanks for the escort. Here's something to remember me by.
Following the incident in Edonia, Chris suffered from post-traumatic amnesia. The strain on his mind of losing almost his entire team broke him, and he was brought to a local hospital to recover. Upon waking up, however, Chris fled, and with no recollection of who he was nor what had happened, he failed to inform anyone of where he was going. For the next 6 months, Chris's location was unknown to the surviving members of Alpha Team, and in his absence, Piers took command of the unit. This new position suited the young soldier. He wasn't as strong a leader as Chris, but his combat skills and quick reactions on the battlefield made him more than a capable replacement. However, Piers wasn't interested in the long-term position, not while he knew that the team's true captain was still out there somewhere. So, Piers and his Alpha Team set about finding Captain Redfield. For the next 6 months they searched, until one day, in a bar somewhere in Eastern Europe, they found him. But he was not the same man that Piers had idolized during his time in the BSAA. The amnesia had taken away Chris's memories, but the feelings of overwhelming and inexplicable guilt had remained, and that guilt was eating him alive. Upon finding his lost captain, Piers gave back his temporary title to Chris, and they set out on a new mission. Bioterror attacks had been occurring in the Chinese city of Lanxiang, and the Alpha unit had been sent in to get to the bottom of them. Piers continued to follow Chris's command, but as the mission continued on, he noticed that he wasn't the same man that he was before. As they made their way deeper into the city, Chris began to regain his memories, the haunting loss of his former comrades instilling in him a desire for revenge on the woman who had killed them. This need for revenge blinded the returning captain, and Piers could see it. And as history repeated itself with the loss of another unit under his command, instead of reassessing, Chris pushed through the bodies with Piers at his back. Piers becoming disillusioned by the actions of such a respected figure in his life.
Do you even care about our mission anymore? Shut up! I feel sorry for all the men that died believing in you. What happened to the legendary Chris Redfield, huh? What happened to you? It's a good thing Finn's not around to see you this way.
Piers and Chris continued on their adventures in China, following Ada closely, but always a few steps behind, until eventually they managed to catch her in an abandoned warehouse. Unfortunately for the duo, however, their mission was interrupted by the familiar face of Leon S. Kennedy, who had been tracking Ada in his mission to find out information on his target, Derek C. Simmons. Leon and Chris had a scuffle before they both came to realize who it was they were fighting with. Chris told Leon that he needed vengeance on Ada for the loss of his soldiers, but Leon told Chris that he needed her for his case against Simmons. This altercation ended with the so-called Ada escaping from an open window while Chris and Leon argued, with Piers chasing after her. And though the target was lost, Chris gained something from his brief time with Leon: perspective. Leon had managed to bring Chris around to reason, helping Chris see that there were bigger things at play here than just his personal grudge. And by the time Chris had caught back up with Piers, he was back to the man that he knew and respected. Piers and Chris chased Ada all around the city, eventually managing to catch up with her on an aircraft carrier. Cornering the so-called Ada, she attempted to get a rise out of Chris by taunting him about his lost soldiers. But Chris was back in control of his emotions, and prepared to take this dangerous woman into custody. However, that wasn't going to happen. As Piers and Chris trapped Ada on the upper deck of the aircraft carrier, she revealed to them plans of releasing a missile that carried the C virus. But, as she was in the middle of revealing her master plans, members of Derek Simmons' The Family arrived and shot the so-called Ada, and she fell to her death. However, now knowing her plans, Piers and Chris had more important things to worry about.
This is Alpha Leader. I need a report on the missing vessels ASAP.
The city has been compromised, and we've lost contact with all local assets. We need more time.
We don't have it! The terrorist assault was just a diversion. The real attack will spread the virus globally.
With the death of the so-called Ada, Chris and Piers attempted to put a stop to the missile that was preparing to infect the entire city. But, unfortunately, they fall short of that goal. The missile fires into Lanxiang, infecting thousands, with Chris and Piers worried that, as Ada said, the virus would grip the entire world in its clutches. Fortunately for the duo, however, after another conversation with Leon Kennedy, they find out about a man named Jake Muller. Finding out that not only is he the son of Chris's longtime archenemy, Albert Wesker, but also that his blood contains the antibodies that can be used to combat the virus. With this new information, Chris and Piers follow the trail of Jake and Sherry, who had been taken to a secretive underwater Neo-Umbrella facility. This revelation about Jake's lineage weighing heavily in Chris's mind, he begins to ponder about his life, about his future with the BSAA, and about his comrade, Piers. Since Piers had joined the force, Chris had known that he was special, that the future of the BSAA was going to be placed on the shoulders of men like him once he was ready to pass the torch, and he felt that it may finally be time to give Piers the flame.
Wait a minute.
It's about time someone took my place. I'd be honored if it was you.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
You've made it this far, haven't you?
Piers was surprised by Chris's revelation, unsure that he was ready for the prestigious position. He wanted what was best for the BSAA, but was that truly himself? With these questions in his mind, Piers and Chris rescued Jake and his new partner Sherry from their confinements and rushed to meet them to help them escape. However, once they'd managed to reunite with the duo, tensions began to rise. Chris wished to bring closure to his vendetta against Wesker, informing Jake that it was he who had killed his father. And while angry, Jake eventually came to the same conclusion that Chris had earlier in his conversation with Leon, that there were bigger, more important things going on at the moment than his own personal grudges. However, a new issue had arisen. Ada's secret weapon, a creature named House, had hatched from its cocoon. Telling Jake and Sherry to escape while they kept the BOW occupied, Piers and Chris fought off this giant creature as they themselves attempted to escape the underwater laboratory. Unfortunately, this attempt to stop the creature would come at a cost. Howells had managed to get a hold of Piers' right arm, and when attacked, it flung the young soldier against a shipping container, impaling his arm on a sharp piece of metal. Chris attempted to rush to the side of his partner, but Howells threw another large piece of metal that crushed Piers' right arm entirely. This turn of events was made worse by Chris getting captured by the creature as Piers writhed in agony against the container. However, a vial that Piers had taken from the so-called Ada had fallen from his pocket when he was flung by the creature, and Piers only saw one way to even the odds. He injected himself with the enhanced C-virus, his entire right side being taken over by the virus and forming a pulsing electrically charged appendage. With this new power, Chris and Piers managed to defeat the powerful BOW, and with its defeat came the sinking realization of the cost. With Chris's help, Piers managed to make it to the escape pods, but all the way there, he could feel his mind slipping. He knew that this was the end. No matter what the captain said to him, he knew that he wasn't leaving this facility. The virus was slowly taking its toll, and before he lost himself entirely, he had to ensure that the BSAA didn't lose its most important member. Piers' life was fully dedicated to the BSAA, and he was more than willing to give it up for the organization's future.
the door!
God damn it! Listen to me! We can still both get out of here! There's still time! What are you doing? No, Piers, don't! You can still make